A gymnasium is a type of school with a strong emphasis on academic learning, and providing advanced secondary education in some parts of Europe and the CIS, comparable to British grammar schools, sixth form colleges and U.S. preparatory high schools. In its current meaning, it usually refers to secondary schools focused on preparing students to enter a university for advanced academic study. Historically, the German Gymnasium also included in its overall accelerated curriculum post-secondary education at college level, and the degree awarded substituted for the bachelor's degree previously awarded by a college or university, so that universities in Germany exclusively became graduate schools. In the US, the German Gymnasium curriculum was used at some rather reputable universities such as the University of Michigan as a model for their undergraduate college programs. The word I cubed I 1/4 I 1/2 I florin I to the first I 1/2 was used in ancient Greece, meaning a locality for both physical and intellectual education of young men. The latter meaning of a place of intellectual education persisted in German and other languages, whereas in English the meaning of a place for physical education was retained, more familiarly in the shortened form gym. In the Polish educational system, the gymnasium is a middle school for pupils aged 13 to 16. The same applies in the Greek educational system, with the additional option of I florin I euro I micron I to the first I 1/2 I where I 1/4 I 1/2 I florin I to the first I for adults and working students aged 14 upwards. School structure: the gymnasium is a secondary school which prepares the student for higher education at a university. They are thus meant for the more academically minded students, who are sifted out at about the age of 10 or 13. In addition to the usual curriculum, students of a gymnasium often study Latin and ancient Greek. Some gymnasiums provide general education, others have a specific focus. The four traditional branches are humanities education, modern languages, mathematical scientific education, economical and social scientific education. Curricula differ from school to school, but generally include language, mathematics, informatics, physics, chemistry, biology, geography, art, music, history, philosophy, civics/citizenship, social sciences, and several foreign languages. Schools concentrate not only on academic subjects, but on producing well-rounded individuals, so physical education and religion or ethics are compulsory, even in non-denominational schools which are prevalent. For example, the German constitution guarantees the separation of church and state, so although religion or ethics classes are compulsory, students may choose to study a specific religion or none at all. Today, a number of other areas of specialization exist, such as gymnasiums specializing in economics, technology or domestic sciences. In some countries, there is a notion of pre-gymnasium, which is equivalent to beginning classes of the full gymnasium, with the rights to continue education in a gymnasium. Here, the prefix pro indicates that this curriculum precedes normal gymnasium studies. History: in the German-speaking, the Central European, the Nordic, the Benelux and the Baltic countries, this meaning for gymnasium, that is a secondary school preparing the student for higher education at a university, has been the same at least since the Protestant Reformation in the 16th century. The term was derived from the classical Greek word gymnasium, which was originally applied to an exercising ground in ancient Athens. Here teachers gathered and gave instruction between the hours devoted to physical exercises and sports, and thus the term became associated with and came to mean an institution of learning. This use of the term did not prevail among the Romans, but was revived during the Renaissance in Italy, and from there passed into the Netherlands and Germany during the 15th century. In 1538, Johannes Sturm founded at Strasbourg the school which became the model of the modern German gymnasium. In 1812, a Prussian regulation ordered that all schools which had the right to send their students to the university should bear the name of gymnasia. By the 20th century, this practice was followed in almost all German states, in Austria and in Russia. By country, Albania: in Albania a gymnasium education takes 3 years following a compulsory 9-year elementary education and ending with a final aptitude test called Matura Stata Rori. The final test is standardized at the state level and serves as an entrance qualification for universities. There are both public and private gymnasium schools in these countries. The subjects taught are mathematics, the native language, 1 to 3 foreign languages, history, geography, informatics, the natural sciences, history of art, music, philosophy, logic, physical education and the social sciences. Gymnasium is generally viewed as a destination for best-performing students and as the type of school that serves primarily to prepare students for university, while other students go to technical vocational schools. Therefore, gymnasiums often base their admittance criteria on an entrance exam, elementary school grades or some combination of the two. Austria. In Austria the gymnasium has 2 stages, from the age of 11 to 14, and from 15 to 18, concluding with matura. Historically, 3 types existed. The humanistisches gymnasium focuses on ancient Greek and Latin. The neusprachliches gymnasium puts its focus on actively spoken languages. The usual combination is English, French and Latin. Sometimes French can be swapped with another foreign language. The RAL gymnasium puts its focus on science. In the last couple of decades more autonomy was granted to schools and various types were developed, focusing on sports, music or economics, for example. Northern European countries, in Denmark, Estonia, the Faroe Islands, Finland, Greenland, Latvia, Norway and Sweden gymnasium consists of 3 years, usually starting at age 16 after 9 or 10 years of primary school. In Iceland and Lithuania the gymnasium usually consists of 4 years of schooling starting at the age of 16, the last year roughly corresponding to the first year of college. In the Nordic countries, education is meant to be free. This includes not only primary school, but most gymnasiums and universities as well. Furthermore, to help decrease the heritage of historic social injustice, all countries except Iceland have universal grants for students. However, entrance is competitive and based on merit. In Denmark, there are 4 kinds of gymnasiums, STX, HHX, HTX and HF. To attend HF, it is a prerequisite that students add a voluntary 10th year to their primary school education. HF then lasts only 2 years, instead of the 3 required for STX, HHX, and HTX. All 4 type of gymnasiums theoretically gives the same eligibility for university. However, because of different subjects offered, students may be better qualified in an area of further study X. HHX students have subjects that make them practically more eligible for studies such as business studies or economy at university. In the Faroe Islands, there are also 4 kinds of gymnasiums, which are equivalents to the Danish educations, Studentaskole, Handelsskole, Gymnasieskole and HF. Studentaskole and HF are usually located at the same institutions as can be seen in the name of the institute in Eysturoy, Studentaskole og HF Skua degree Eysturoy. In Greenland, there is introduced 1 kind of gymnasiums, Den Gymnasiale Dannels. This replaced the current Greenlandic secondary education program, the Greenland Higher Commercial Examination Program and the Greenland Education to Higher Technical Examination Program. This shape allows a more flexible Greenland gymnasium, where students based on a common foundation course can choose between different fields of study that meets the individual student's abilities and interests. The course is offered in Aasiaat, Nuuk, Saisamout and Kokotuk. In Finland, the admissions to gymnasiums are competitive, the accepted people comprising 51% of the age group. The gymnasiums concludes with the matriculation exam, an exam whose grades are the main criteria for college admissions. Former Yugoslavia. In Bosnia and Herzegovina, Croatia, Kosovo, Macedonia, Montenegro, Serbia, and Slovenia, a gymnasium education takes 4 years following a compulsory 8 or 9-year elementary education and ending with a final aptitude test called matura. In Croatia, Kosovo, Slovenia, Montenegro and Macedonia, the final test is standardized at the state level and serves as an entrance qualification for universities. There are both public and private gymnasium schools in these countries. The subjects taught are mathematics, the native language, 1 to 3 foreign languages, history, geography, informatics, the natural sciences, history of art, music, philosophy, logic, physical education and the social sciences. Religious studies are optional. In Bosnia and Herzegovina, Croatia, Kosovo, Montenegro, Serbia and Macedonia, Latin is also a mandatory subject in all gymnasiums, just as ancient Greek is in a certain type of gymnasiums called classical gymnasiums. In all these countries, the gymnasium is generally viewed as a destination for best-performing students and as the type of school that serves primarily to prepare students for university, while other students go to technical vocational schools. Therefore, gymnasiums often base their admittance criteria on an entrance exam, elementary school grades or some combination of the two. Germany. German gymnasiums are selective schools. They offer the most academically promising youngsters a quality education that is free in all state-run schools. Gymnasiums may expel students who academically underperform their classmates or behave in a way that is seen as unacceptable. Pupils study subjects like German, mathematics, physics, chemistry, geography, biology, arts, music, physical education, religion, history and civic social sciences and computer science. Recently, a very basic form of computer science is being added. They are also required to study at least 2 foreign languages. The usual combinations are English and French or English and Latin, although many schools make it possible to combine English with another language, most often Spanish, Ancient Greek, or Russian. Religious education classes are a part of the curricula of all German schools, yet not compulsory. A student or their parents or guardians can conscientiously object taking them, in which case they can either elect to take an ORI course of another confession or is taught ethics. In state schools, a student who is not baptized into either the Catholic or the Protestant faith is allowed to choose which of these classes to take. The only exception to this is the state of Berlin, in which the subject ethics is mandatory for all students and classes and religious studies can only be chosen additionally. A similar situation is to be found in Brandenburg, where the subject life skills, ethics, and religious education is the primary subject, but parents, guardians or students older than 13 can choose to replace it with religious studies or take both. The intention behind LER is that students should get an objective insight on questions of personal development and ethics as well as on the major world religions. For younger students, nearly the entire curriculum of a gymnasium is compulsory. In higher grades, elective subjects are available and some of the formerly compulsory subjects can be dropped, but the choice is not as wide as in, for example, a U.S. high school. Although some specialist gymnasiums have English or French as the language of instruction, at most gymnasiums lessons are conducted in standard German. The number of years of instruction at a gymnasium differs between the states. It varies between 6 to 7 years in Berlin and Brandenburg and 8 in Bavaria, Hesse and Baden-Württemberg among others. While in Saxony and Thuringia students have never been taught more than 8 years in gymnasium, nearly all states now conduct the Abitur examinations, which complete the gymnasium education, after 12 years of primary school and gymnasium combined. In addition to that, some states still or again offer a 13-year curriculum leading to the Abitur. These final examinations are centrally drafted and controlled in all German states except for Rhineland-Palatinate and provide a qualification to attend any German university. The vast majority of gymnasiums are public and do not charge tuition fees. Most private gymnasiums have low tuition fees and/or offer scholarships. There are few expensive private schools. Italy. In Italy, originally the Gymnasio indicated a typology of 5-year junior high school and preparing to the 3-year Liceo Classico, a high school focusing on classical studies and humanities. After the school reform that unified the junior high school system, the term Gymnasio stayed to indicate the first 2-year of Liceo Classico, now 5 years long. Oddly enough, an Italian high school student who enrolls in Liceo Classico follows this study path: Quarta Gymnasio, Quinta Gymnasio, Prima Liceo, Second a liceo into tercer liceo. Some believe this still has some sense, since the two-year gymnasio has a very different set of mind from the liceo. Gymnasio students spend most of their time studying Greek and Latin grammar, laying the basis for the higher, and more complicated set of studies of the liceo, such as Greek and Latin literature, philosophy and art history. Netherlands. In the Netherlands, gymnasium is the highest variant of secondary education, offering the academically most promising youngsters a quality education that is in most cases free. It consists of 6 years, after 8 years of primary school, in which pupils study the same subjects as their German counterparts, with the addition of compulsory ancient Greek, Latin and classic cultural Vorming, classical cultural education, history of the ancient Greek and Roman culture and literature. The equivalent without classical languages is called Athenaeum, and gives access to the same university studies. All are government-funded. CVWO for the full article on Dutch preparatory scientific education. Czech Republic. In the Czech Republic, gymnasium is one type of schools that provide secondary education. There are 3 types of gymnasium distinguished by the length of study, 8-year, 6-year and 4-year types. It leads to the maturity exam. Slovak Republic. In the Slovak Republic, gymnasium is one type of schools that provide secondary education. There are 2 types of gymnasium distinguished by the length of study, 8-year and 4-year types. Other types are bilingual and private gymnasiums. All of them lead to the maturity exam. Countries with gymnasium schools. Albania, gymnasium 3 years, after 9 years of education, ends with maturitatea at the age of 18. Argentina, Colegio Nacional de Buenos Aires, 6 years. Rafael Hernández National College of La Plata, 5 years, after 7 years of primary school. And Gymnasium UNT 61 years. Austria 8 years, after 4 years of primary school, or 4 years, after primary school and 4 years of Hauptschule, ends with matura at the age of 18. Belarus, Belgium 6 years, starting at age November 13, after 6 years of primary school, ends at the age of 18 where students progress to a university. Brazil Humboldt-Schule of Sao Paulo is a German school in Sao Paulo. There are more gymnasiums in the country and some of them receive recursos from German government. Bosnia and Herzegovina, Bulgaria 5 years, after 7 years of primary school. Currently graduation after passing at least 2 maturas. Canada generally called a private school. Colombia Gimnasio Campestre. Croatia, Klaziana Gimnazija, Giziana Gimnazija, Prirodoslovna Gimnazija and Prirodoslovno Matematika Gimnazija, ends with matura. Students of all tracks have compulsory classes in Latin and English as well as in at least one additional foreign language. Cyprus 3 years, starting at age 12 and following 6 years of elementary school. Compulsory for all students. Followed by the non-mandatory lyceum for students with academic aspirations or TEL for students who prefer vocational training. Czech Republic. 8 years starting at age November 12. All of them end with a maturita. Denmark 3 years, usually starting after 10 or 11 years of primary school. This is more like a prep school or the first years of college than high school. Everyone is eligible to go to a U.S. high school, but you have to be deemed competent to get into a gymnasium. Gymnasium is also available in an intensive 2-year program leading to the Hardja for Beredelses examen. Estonia, Faroe Islands 3 years, usually starting after 9 or 10 years of primary school. The system is similar to the Danish system. A gymnasium-level education is also available in an intensive 2-year program leading to Hagrifieriak and Garpracubvtakar. Finland, Lukio or gymnasium takes to a 5 years, after 9 years of primary school. Lukio starts usually in the autumn of the year when the student turns 16 and ends with abitur after passing the matriculation examination. Lukio is not compulsory and its entrance is competitive. In France, called a liqueur copyright 3 years, after 4 years of primary school and 4 years of secondary school, age 15/18. The last year, you pass the Baccalaureate copywriter to enter University copyright, Germany, Abitur in 12th or 13th grade. For more information, see Gymnasium. Greece 3 years, starting at age 12 after 6 years of elementary school. Compulsory for all children, it is followed by the non-mandatory Lyceum for students with academic aspirations, or the Technical Vocational Educational School for students who prefer vocational training. Hungary, see Education in Hungary, Iceland, Israel, 5 schools termed Gymnasium located in Tel Aviv, Rishon LeZion, Jerusalem and Haifa. Italy, Gymnasio is the name of the 2 first years of Liceo Classico, Kosovo, Gymnasi 3 years, after 9 years of education, ends with Maturishtate at the age of 18. Kyrgyzstan, Latvia, Liechtenstein, Lithuania, Luxembourg, Republic of Macedonia, Montenegro, Netherlands, Norway. The traditional but now discontinued gymnasium led to the completion of examinatium. This has now been succeeded by a 2, 3, or 4-year program, depending on course path taken, starting at the age of 15/16, culminating with an exam that qualifies for university matriculation. Poland. Gymnasium is the name of Polish compulsory middle school lasting 3 years, starting at the age of December 13, and following 6 years of primary school. Gymnasium ends with a standardized test. Further education is encouraged, but optional and consists of either 3 years Lyceum, 4 years Technicum, or 2 to 3 years vocational school. Romania. 4 years, starting at age 10, ends with diploma de capacitate at the age of 14. Primary education lasts for 4 years. Secondary education consists in 1. Lower secondary school education organized in gymnasium for grades 5 to 8 and lower cycle of high school or arts and trade schools for grades 9 and 10. 2. Upper secondary school education organized in ciclo superior al liceu for grades 11, 12 and 13 followed, if necessary, by an additional high school year for those who want to move from vocational training to upper secondary school education. High school education offers 3 different orientations. Russia, Imperial Russia, since 1726, 8 years since 1871. Women gymnasiums since 1862. 7 years plus optional 8th for specialization in pedagogy. Pro-gymnasiums, equivalent to 4 first years of gymnasium. Russian Federation, 6 or 7 years, after primary school. Nowadays Russian gymnasiums specialize in a certain subject, especially in the humanities. Serbia General Gymnasium, which offers broad education in either 2, natural science or 3, social studies, available all over Serbia, and a few specialized ones, that is science and mathematics, only 1 in all of Serbia, in Belgrade. Sports, just 2 in Serbia. And language gymnasiums, a total of 4 in Serbia. In the end, everyone has a final exam matura. A technical high school, or a musical high school is a prerequisite for enrollment into a university. English and another foreign language are compulsory throughout. Slovakia. 8 years starting at age 11 after completing 5 years of elementary school. Both end with maturita, Slovenia. South Africa. Sweden. Upper secondary school in Sweden lasts for 3 years. Gymnasium is the word used to describe this stage of the education system in Sweden. The National Agency of Education has decided that gymnasium is equivalent to the international upper secondary school. The gymnasium is optional and follows after 9 years in elementary school. However, the Swedish term har-paragraph gskola may cause some confusion. It is in Swedish used almost synonymously to university, with the only difference being that universities have the right to issue doctoral examinations. In the case of technical universities, these could also be called har-paragraph gskola even when they have right to issue doctoral examinations. A har-paragraph gskola is often located in cities with lower population, except for the technical ones that can be found also in the largest cities. Switzerland. It is also possible to attend a so-called Langzeit Gymnasium, which lasts 6 years, following a 6-year primary schooling. The gymnasium ends with matura at the age of 18/19. Ukraine. United Kingdom. Historically, grammar schools have been the English equivalent of the gymnasium, selecting pupils on the basis of academic ability and educating them with the assumption that they would go on to study at a university. Such schools were largely phased out under the Wilson and Heath governments, with less than 5% of pupils now attending grammar schools, and the UK now has no widespread equivalent of the gymnasium. The exception is Northern Ireland and parts of England including the counties of Buckinghamshire, Lincolnshire and Kent which retained the system. Many private, fee-paying independent schools, including all those commonly referred to as public schools, seek to fulfill a similar role to the state grammar school if the scholar has the ability. United States, public school. As school districts continue to experiment with educational styles, the magnet school has become a popular type of high school. Boston Latin School and Central High School are both the oldest public schools in the country, and the oldest magnet schools. As the concept has not become entrenched in the various American educational systems, due partly to the federal, rather than unitary style of education in the U.S., the term may vary among states. Private school. The equivalent among private schools is the preparatory school. Final degree. Depending on country, the final degree is called abita, artium, diploma, matura, maturita or student and it usually opens the way to professional schools directly. However, depending on which country the issuing school is located in, these degrees are occasionally not fully accredited internationally, and students willing to attend foreign university often have to submit to further exams to be permitted access to them. The final 2 or 3 years at a gymnasium can be seen as an equivalent to the first 2 years at college in the United States. Relationship with other education facilities. In countries like Canada or Austria, most university faculties only accept students from secondary schools that last 4 years. This includes all gymnasium students but only a part of vocational high schools, in effect making gymnasium the preferred choice for all pupils aiming for university diplomas. In Germany, other types of secondary school are called Realschule, Hauptschule and Gesamtschule. These are attended by about 2/3 of the students and the first 2 are practically unknown in other parts of the world. A Gesamtschule largely corresponds to a British or American high school. However, it offers the same school-leaving certificates as the other 3 types of German secondary schools the Hauptschulabschluss, the Realschulabschluss, also called Mittlere Reife, and Abitur, also called Hochschulreife, after 12th grade. Students who graduate from Hauptschule or Realschule may continue their schooling at a vocational school until they have full job qualifications. It is also possible to get an Erweiterte Realschulabschluss after 10th grade that allows the students to continue their education at the Oberstufe of a gymnasium and get an Abitur. There are 2 types of vocational school in Germany. The Berufsschule, a part-time vocational school and a part of Germany's dual education system, and the Berufsfachschule, a full-time vocational school outside the dual education system. Both types of school are also part of Germany's secondary school system. Students who graduate from a vocational school and students who graduate with a good grade point average from a Realschule can continue their schooling at another type of German secondary school, the Fachhochschule, a vocational high school. The school-leaving exam of this type of school, the Fachhochschulreife, enables the graduate to start studying at a Fachhochschule, and in Hesse also at a university within the state. Students who have graduated from vocational school and have been working in a job for at least 3 years can go to Berufsbildungsschule to get either a Fachabitur they studied in at Berufsschule after 1 year, or the normal Abitur, which gives them complete access to universities. See also: Gymnasium, Gymnasium, Lyceum, Lyceum, Realschule. References